As a large portion of the population is seated for so many hours of the day, I'm going to take a little look of what that looks like in the body and small ways we can counteract that throughout the workday through the movements that we choose afterwards. So first, let's start with looking at the structure. If we're seated all the time, you can see that from the feet up, ankles are pretty short in the front. So think about small ways that we can create this movement. Perhaps it's sitting, kneeling at times. At your desk, in a chair, just curling your toes under, getting a little stretch to the front of your ankles is a great way to do that. Also a good amount of flexion in the knees. Not a bad thing. None of these positions are inherently bad positions for the body, but being in one position too long, any posture is bad posture if you're in it too long. So getting the knees moving, right? Basic, just extension and flexion, getting both ways. Also flexion of the hips, lots of flexion basically going on. A lot of flexion in the hips as well. Now you might hear about if your hip flexors being really short and tight because of sitting all day, yes, but also weak. Sometimes there is this correlation of like contracted muscles or shortened muscles being strong, but that's not necessarily the case. Your hip flexors aren't working in this shape, they're passive. So strengthening the hip flexors, also creating length in the hip flexors. Depending on the position of your pelvis, if you're more anterior tilt, that might put a little more compression in your low back. If you tend to sit a little more hunched back here, posterior tilt, more flexion just overall in your spine. For most people, shoulder blades protracted forward kind of goes along with the flexion of the spine. Arm bones, our shoulder joint, rotated in, especially if you have like a mouse or using something like that, even just typing, elbows out, a lot of internal rotation in the shoulder. All of our movements in the day, most of our movements in the day tend to be forward, flexion through the shoulders as well. Not a lot of opening here or extending back. But then when you have something in like the back seat and you reach for it, your body's not adapted to doing that position much. That's where there's like potential injury and that type of stuff with small movements if your body just isn't used to it. Then flexion of the neck, right? Tend to be either in this shape, maybe a little extension in the cervical spine, but still flexion in like the lower neck muscles. Tension headaches, if you get them here, might start to think about ears over shoulders, just generally moving your head around. Again, perfect posture is bad posture if you're in it too long. So movement is going to be the key thing here. Getting up out of your seat, doing small things within your seat to just break up stagnant energy, just stasis. That's the biggest thing here. Not necessarily a full, full 60-minute class. Great, but it's not necessarily going to unwind everything 8 hours of stasis. So little breaks, frequent movement is key here. I'll take you through just a quick little sequence you can do as a whole, a little 10-minute break, or in small pieces throughout your day. Start really simple with a little rock forward and back on your pelvis. You can see, do you weight your sits bones more? A little more towards your pubic bone. See if you can find the place right in the center of that triangle of sits bones and pubic bone. That's going to be what we'll call our neutral pelvis. Then draw your hands to your frontal hip bones with fingertips pressing into the fleshy part of your low belly. Inhale, press your belly into that flesh, or into your fingertips, excuse me. Then exhale, pull your belly away from your fingertips. Feel the engagement of your abdominals. Again, inhale, relax your belly. Feel your low back expand too. Then exhale, imagine your frontal hip bones, your fingertips are drawing into the center. Again, inhale, relax your belly. Then exhale, hug in, and also feel a lift of everything that's connected to the chair up away from the chair. So that's the engagement of your pelvic floor. Inhale, relax. Feel your breath spread down to the base of your pelvis. Then exhale, pull up away from the floor. One more time. Inhale, relax everything. Feel your sits bones widen. Exhale, pull up away from the chair and hold. Keep the contraction, let your breath be a little bit higher. One more inhale. And exhale, extend your right leg out in front of you. Move the ankle back and forth. And taking it through some range of motion. You can curl the toes, release. But just think about the stretch in the front of your ankle and take it a little side to side. Come back to the contraction of your center, a little lift away from the chair. So you're keeping integrity in your center as you move. And set your right foot down, extend through your left. Re-emphasize with your exhale the contraction of your center. If you notice that you're rocked back to your sits bones, try to keep it right in that neutral pelvis you found. Very simple movement, but it's quite hard. Challenging the hip flexors, starting to bring some motion into the back of the leg, the front of the leg, and set your foot down. Now this one's a little bit more involved. Add a little extra hinge to your hips so your torso shifts forward. Press into big toe, pinky toe, center of your heel. Feel a little weight of your feet into the earth. Connect your hands to heart center. Inhale, pour your weight further into your feet. Exhale, press down through your feet and come up. Inhale, sit your hips down. You can hover or tap. Exhale, press through your feet. Add a press of your arms back too. Inhale, touch your hips down towards the floor. Exhale, drive through your feet to rise up. Right, nice way to bring some extension into the front of the hips. To get the glutes working, as they tend to be pretty latent throughout the day, being sat on. So getting that squeeze through your back body, feel a little hug of your inner thighs. Just simply pressing your big toes down to the floor can give you a little more connection to the inner thighs. And of course, you can do this as long as you want, as many times a day as you want, but really simple move. Adding that press to open up through the shoulders that you can sprinkle throughout your day. If you want something a little more stretch focused, of course a lunge you can do kneeling, standing, but if you want to stay in your chair, you can turn your left knee to the left, slide your right leg back behind you, give a little adjustment in your chair, and open up your hip flexors that way. Now psoas muscle, which you might have heard before, starts from your inner thigh, goes all the way to your lumbar spine. Really important muscle. If you want to get that going a little more, reach your right hand towards your chair, away from the extended leg. Then breathe through the space from your pinky finger all the way down to your right knee. Another inhale. Exhale, return through center. Pivot to the other side, right knee forward. Left leg extended behind you. Extra squeeze in your left glute. It's going to help open up the right hip for the psoas stretch. Bend up and over. And simply move with breath or add in micro movements, rotation through your torso. Experiment with where the sensation feels relevant. And then bring it back through center. All right, moving up a little bit higher through the body. Feel firm foundation. Neutral pelvis. Inhale, circle your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus your arms, pull down. Now imagine as you pull down, the crown of your head grows higher. Inhale, reach up, spiral up through your pinky fingers. Exhale, pull down. Like you're doing a pull-up. Feel the engagement underneath your armpits. You can use the tactile feedback of your hand. Great movement to do back and forth. Really simple. Using engagement in the backs of your shoulders to create a little more space, develop those postural muscles that will help the collapse of your chest forward. For a little more stretch, hold your cactus shape. Inhale, squeeze your shoulder blades and allow a lift of your gaze to the sky. And exhale, curl your pelvis under. Draw belly button to spine and clamp your palms together. Inhale, rock forward in your pelvis. Allow the rest of your body to ripple. And exhale, close. Round it all in. And getting the spine moving with that motion. Stretch the chest. Engagement still to the back between your shoulder blades. Again, simple movement that you can add in. All right, last bit here for your neck muscles. We tend to do a lot of stretching, the back of the neck, doing that kind of stuff. But remember that neck flexion, that forward head position. These neck flexors needed a little more support than we often give them. So to open up that space, take your left hand underneath your right collarbone. You can use your right hand to further pin down and really feel the skin. Press down on the skin. Keep that anchor, pull your chin away to the left. And then chin away from collarbone. You can even kind of make a funny face, jet your chin up to get even more sensation. As always, breath enhances the stretch. So inhale between your chin and your collarbone. And exhale, weight your hands heavier. Inhale, bring it back through center. Exhale, exchange your right hand down, left hand on top. Pull your chin to the right. You can experiment with the little angles. Notice the difference in sensation between your general stretch and the extra anchor on your skin. Getting a little more into the superficial fascia, connective tissue. Big inhale. Stay for your exhale. Inhale back through center. Exhale, press both palms right to the center of your chest. Lift your chin up. And it's less about cranking through your neck, but getting the connection of tissue and then pulling away from that. All right. Quick little things that you can do, again, piece by piece, or if you have like a 10-minute break, great opportunity to target specific areas of your body that perhaps aren't getting as much movement in the seated position that you might be in all day.